Okay, so I wanted to caveat this video before I started it. I actually recorded this video and edited it together about a year and a half ago, in 2018. I think it was about September, maybe October, basically the end of the 2018 racing season. Um, and I don't know why I didn't post it, but I didn't. But I want to post it now because I think it's kind of important for my end of 2019 and my 2019 journey in Spec Miata Racing. We joined the season, or we joined this. We started Spec Miata Racing, my brother, my father, and I, about halfway through the 2018 season. So it was kind of our first season, just getting our feet wet and everything. And in order to get ready for that, we had gone to, in May of 2018, we went to the LevelUP Racing School at Road America. Um, and so I put this video together to kind of show people what we experienced, what you learned, anything like that. But I'm posting it now, and I think it actually fits better into my 2019 journey, or my end of 2019 kind of reflection that I want to do, because there's a couple other videos I want to do that I'm going to share soon to kind of review my 2019 season, where I felt like I really started to make improvements, and it honestly I did. I won a race, and I was on the podium for a few, so I really improved my driving. And one of the biggest things that I keep coming back to is almost every track day I go to, or every day I'm at the track, either for a race or for practice or for test days, I always remember my time at LevelUP Racing School. And I think it kind of speaks to the foundation that I was able to set there, and the confidence that I was able to achieve going to this racing school. I think a lot of people getting into the sport, or getting into racing, even if you've been driving in HPDE or DE classes, you really should get into and go to a racing school, whether it's a NASA one, an SCCA one, or Skip Barber, or Burl Roos, or any of the ones. I think you really need to go to a school, because I think you gain a really good foundation. You get a lot of good seat time and valuable seat time, as well as you also get taught racecraft, and you get some comfortability being around cars on the track. Now, watched my video, and I watched the end of the video. There's some race starts, and it's almost comical how far apart the cars are. But you got to realize too, this was a race school with some people had never been on a racetrack before. So it's funny to watch now, but again, at the time, it was really good experience, and it was enough to kind of get our feet wet to give us the confidence to go on and start our racing careers, which, like I said, we did halfway through that racing season, once we figured out cars and how to get into it. So this is the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I highly recommend LevelUP Racing School if you live around Road America. And I think they do some stuff at Barber Motorsports Park in Atlanta. So I highly recommend these guys. Again, like I said, there's not a lot of days at the track that go by that I don't think about my time at the LevelUP Racing School. It truly was a really good experience, and I brought it with me a lot. So enjoy the video. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to have a lot more Spec Miata videos coming out soon, especially some that review my 2019 season, and how I improved, because I really did improve, and I want to share a lot of that with you guys, and hopefully you guys can improve based on some of the stuff that I've learned.
Hey car people, today we're going to talk about my time at the LevelUP Racing School. So today's going to be a little bit of a review and a little bit of a lesson on my experience with LevelUP Racing School. I took part in this school about 3 months ago, and my life has been forever changed since then. Growing up, like most car people, or most car kids, I mean, I grew up with the Matchboxes and looked up to Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt, and really had this dream of being a race car driver. It was the pipe dream that you never really think you'll achieve, but you wanted to. And so I really stopped thinking about this dream, because I thought it really just was a dream. And I recently graduated from college, and again, like most people, I felt like I was growing up too fast, and I started to think about all the stuff that I wanted to do before I got too old, or thought I could do. And It was actually one that I was watching TV on, or I was watching Amazon Prime, and I came across the show FastLife.tv. And it's a fantastic show about Derek DeBoer and his story. And basically, he followed his dream, and I think in his late 30s, he decided he's going to be a professional race car driver. And actually, he's now a driver in the Pirelli World Challenge. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, I can do this. And that's when I started kind of researching and looking all over the internet of how do I get into motorsport? And the one thing that kept coming back up was to go to racing school. And so I kept doing more research, and one of the things I saw on all the professional drivers, or not all, but most of the professional drivers' resumes, was that they had gone to Skip Barber or done the Skip Barber series. And that really got me thinking, okay, I can do this. Let's find that. Unfortunately, about 6 months before I started looking even was when Skip Barber announced bankruptcy and kind of went away. So I started looking more, and I stumbled across a road and track article actually about LevelUP Racing School. And I learned that it was a bunch of guys that used to be instructors at Skip Barber and had a bunch of experience, and had started their own racing school. I started doing more digging, and it was reasonably inexpensive for a racing school. It was only 2 days, so I only had to miss 2 days of work. They provided the car, so I didn't have to have a race car. And it was at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, which is the greatest racetrack I think I've ever been to. It is definitely my favorite. It's one of those places that it's a car mecca. If you've never been there, you really have to go. It feels almost like sacred ground. It's a really, really cool racetrack. It's probably the most fun track I've ever been on. And the whole area, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, or you would never expect it to be there, but it is. And the whole area around it is a fantastic area. I cannot say enough about my short time in Elkhart Lake. But anyway, so I started thinking about this, and I was talking to my parents, and I'm like, hey, I want to do this. And I think I can do this. So I was expecting my mom to say, no, that's not safe, you can't do that, or my dad saying, oh, you can't afford that, and I barely could. But to my surprise, my dad actually got really excited about it. And we actually turned it into like kind of a father-son trip where he and my brother got really excited too. And so all three of us went and did this together. So I'm going to kind of go through and talk about my experience again and explain a little bit of what we did. Because I think a lot of the anxiety before you go to things like this is you really don't know what to expect. So here's what I found in my research. This is LevelUpRacingSchool.com. Very good, very clean website. A lot of information about the school, why you should attend, what to expect. They even go into some information about what you're going to learn, what the cars are like, what the tracks are that they go to, and then even a small or an abbreviated schedule for the next 2 days. I'm going to go into a little bit more of that, but obviously as an overview when I go through some of the video. What I really wanted to point out here or talk about was these guys. This is the team of instructors, and they really are genuine, friendly people. I was never once intimidated by them, even though that they're very accomplished and very good drivers and very good instructors. They were all very genuine and friendly. Peter Stolz is the founder. He was my main point of contact. I called him and talked to him when I was setting all of it up, and he was, again, like a friend from the get-go, and wanted you to be there and wanted you to come learn with them because they know their stuff. Jim Pace was kind of our professor. He was the one that did all the in-classroom work that was writing on the board and going through the theory and showing us some video and did some of the data analysis stuff that you do. Steve DeBrecht was, again, a very genuine and lovable guy. He ran a lot of the track operations or was on the track most of the time, lining the cars up, letting you know what we needed to work on each lap or each lap session. and ran some of the drills as well. Greg Borland, I only got to meet him the second day. He was the first day. He actually runs Arms Up Motorsports, which is a driver development program for the Mazda Road to Indy. So again, he knows his stuff and is very knowledgeable. But he was there testing with an up-and-coming driver for the first day, so we only got to meet him the second day. But again, fantastic guy. Keith Watson, Terry Earwood. I didn't really get to meet them. They weren't at this one, but I've heard great things about both of them, and I look forward to hopefully meeting them at another one of LevelUP Racing racing schools. But these guys are the reason that you should go. The amount of knowledge that they have, the confidence that they build, the safety that they ingrain in you is next to none. They really do know their stuff, and they really are genuine and friendly people. So the day started with a lot of the classroom stuff, the introduction of the instructors, and they also take some time to get to know you, why you're there, what you hope to learn. This really broke the ice a little bit, and it also helped you get to know your fellow classmates. And then so after these intros, they talked about some of the safety and the basic fundamentals for the day, along with some flags talk and procedures, and then the schedule for the next 2 days. Nerves are a very natural thing because you are about to you hear about the dangers of race car driving. But honestly, Jim Pace is so calm and confident that I never once felt unsafe. The only thing about the school is that they teach you quickly, but it's a very, very gradual pace and they build you up. After the class, they don't just throw you out to the wolves and expect you to be covering corners right away. After the classroom, we went straight to the paddock and got introduced to our cars. For the Coast Road America, they were Spec Miatas, built, supplied, and maintained by Advanced Autosports, which if you race in the Midwest, you are very familiar with. They're very well maintained and safe and fast cars. They're simple. It didn't take long to get comfortable. This is also where you learn who your car buddy is, and it's basically because they don't have enough cars, so they have to run 2 groups. They choose your buddy based on your height and weight because you don't want to be switching too much of the driving positions and the belts when you switch drivers. Once you get placed in the car, Group 1 goes straight out onto the track to do some lead-follow session. I was in that first group, and I do remember feeling really nervous because you really just hop in. But because it was lead-follow, it was probably the best thing you could do because it exposes you to the car and it gets you there and you see the track, and it's one of the most nerve-wracking aspects. We spent a good 45 minutes on the track doing lap after lap, which was tiring but very, very helpful because I felt like I knew most of the track by then. They also put the cones at each turn-in, apex, and track out, which also helped you learn the track as well. Now, after the lead follow, we went back into the classroom where Jim Pace actually took us step by step through the racetrack we were actually looking at, and allowed us to actually see the racetrack as with him driving.
Just watch the bottom right for the brake pedal. So there's brake, blip the throttle, do the shift, off the brake before we turn.
After the classroom, we went straight into a downshifting drill, which if you are a novice as I am, heel and toe downshifting is probably the most beneficial part of the entire school. We literally lined up on pit lane and went up and down the front straightaway at Road America, downshifting at every time we were turning around. I'm not sure how many times we did it, but after downshifting that many times, it felt like 100 times. It finally started to feel like second nature. And sorry for the video, first time with the helmet cam. Downshifting drill, it was onto the bus to do some laps around the track with Jim Pace to continue learning the racing line and to talk about how to read the racetrack. I have to say that the way he drove this big lug of a bus around the track really demonstrated how good of a driver he actually was. After our guided bus tour with Jim, we went straight back into the cars for some open lapping sessions with a stop box. This is where they let you run wild in a controlled manner, and you get to put everything they taught you throughout the day summed up perfectly by Steve DeBreck.
Oh, no passing. Stop at the stop box every time. Get it online, get it in gear before the corners. Easy deal.
Awesome.
All right, head on out.
was out on the track, you went to a corner with one of the instructors, and Jim Pace was coaching us based on what he was seeing the other drivers do, like he turned too early, she's not on the power early enough. These were things that they would say that when you were approaching the same corner in the car, you could think about and then apply it. That was the end of day one, and I do want to take another chance to tell you a story about how down-to-earth these instructors are. We went to dinner the first night to a restaurant that Peter had suggested, and while we were there, we ran into Peter, his wife, Steve, and some of their friends. They welcomed us over to their table, and they asked us more about how we got into motorsports and took a genuine interest in us. And not only that, they told us stories and treated us like they had known us for years. It truly was an unintimidating and welcoming environment around these guys, because they truly are regular guys. And I mean that in the most appreciative way. Day two is mostly all driving. We actually started with a braking drill where they set up a cone at the beginning of the braking point, and we had to brake hard and stop as close to the corner as possible. And then Stevie DB would give us advice on how to apply the brakes better, placing the cone closer and closer, so you then had to brake deeper and deeper into that corner until you were threshold braking into the corners like the pros do. Well, mostly. Day two still had some classroom sessions in between the track time, and they were used to further talk some theory. We also got an introduction into data acquisition. But then after lunch was when the fun really began. We did 3 race starts where we followed the pace car, and then on the kink, they waved the green flag and we raced our little Spec Miata hearts out all the way into Canada Corner. As you can see from the video, they were not very competitive and we were really spread out, but they were the closest thing to actually getting to race wheel to wheel that you get. The first 2 were side-by-side race starts, and then the third was a race start or a race restart simulation where you had to stay in single file line. It was pretty nerve-wracking, but honestly, I mean, everybody seemed fairly cautious and weren't going to try to dive bomb people into the first corner anyway. But it was a really good experience to get for the first time being in a race car. So after we finished the race starts, they let us go out for 2 more sessions of open lapping with no stop box. So we got to turn as many laps as we could for about 35 to 40 minutes at a time. Again, it was tiring, but it was really good practice and really great fun. I honestly can't say enough about my time, and thank Pete and Jim and Steve and Greg enough. They instilled confidence in me in driving a race car that propelled me to start racing Spec Miatas at the Autobahn Country Club in Joliet, Illinois. Stay tuned for some of those videos. I can't say that you will become the next Lewis Hamilton by going to LevelUP Racing School, but when I returned to turn some laps around Autobahn's North Circuit, I was able to go around 4 seconds faster, and using the knowledge that I learned at the school, I was much more confident in my abilities and continued to improve every time I went out. Racing is a sport that you can only get better at by actually doing it and getting the seat time. Racing schools help abridge that learning curve a little bit by giving you ample track time and personal coaching. And LevelUP is a fantastic fundamentals course, and it will make you a better driver in every aspect. It will even make you better on the street by teaching you awareness and to handle the car's limit. I could not have had more fun and enjoyed my time with my father and my brother while I was at Road America than I did with LevelUP Racing School. If you're looking for a racing school, you have to look at LevelUP Racing School.